Welcome to the show, the Legacy Makers Podcast, a space where we will dive deep into what it means to live a life with purpose, with passion, and an impact. This show isn't just for dreamers, it's for doers. For every man that he knows that he's meant for more, that knows that there is a fire inside, but all he needs is a roadmap to turn their potential into a lasting legacy. This podcast is for you, the man who's ready to create something that outlasts him, changes lives, and shapes future. So wherever you're starting on your journey or are already on a path, our mission is simple: to equip you with a mindset, the tools, and inspiration to become a legacy maker. Each episode will be packed with insights, stories, and strategies to help you unlock your potential. We'll talk about real work, building discipline, making impactful decisions, overcoming setbacks, and living intentionally so your actions today will set the foundations for your legacy that endures. So here's the truth. Being a legacy maker doesn't mean that you have it all figured out. It's about recognizing that within you lies everything that you need to create an impact you were born to make. You were made for greatness. And now is the time to step into that truth. So wherever you're listening, remember this: the power to leave a legacy is already inside of you. This podcast is here to help you unlock it step by step. So let's build something extraordinary together.
My time as a youth pastor was ending, I genuinely did not know what I wanted to do yet. All I knew was living life, being super faithful, and going all in every season I'm in. My next season would involve business and media. And sure enough, after that, I got to the point where I was doing over 100 homes a year. My business exploded. My life was, completely different. Within 3 years, I was now speaking at conferences and marketing conferences, business conferences, and doing so much in that space.
This is the Legacy Makers Show. Hey guys, welcome to episode number 6 of Legacy Makers Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how faith, real estate, and legacy mesh together when you answer the call. Sometimes the legacy that you envision isn't the legacy that you're built or you're called to build. And in today's episode, we're going to dive deep into that. Today's guest is going to unpack so many truths. So I'm going to just invite you to engage and be completely ready for what I believe is going to not only empower you, but it's going to pump you to really take the next step to start building your own legacy. I am super excited to welcome to our guest today. He's an amazing man, and I'm certain that you're going to agree with me that this guy is the real deal. This guy is an incredible business leader of so many businesses. He's a pastor. He has made waves in the political arena. He's a loving husband and a spoiled dad of 2 beautiful girls. Will you please help me to welcome our guest today, Steve Penate. Steve, welcome, my brother. I'm so glad that you're here.
My goodness, what an intro. I was like, who is talking about here?
You know it's you, man.
Oh my God.
Hey, man.
So excited to be here with you, Roger.
Man,
it's awesome. This is fun.
I am thrilled, man. I'm thrilled. I got the opportunity to talk to you, and I really got pumped. And I said, man, I got to have that guy because your story is absolutely one of the kind, to be honest. So thank you so much for making time to be here today with me, man.
I'm excited. It's an honor.
Yeah. Steve, why don't we just jump right in and just tell us a little bit about where you come from, your story, that people get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, so I was born in LA, raised by a single mom, 4 boys. So in my early teens, we moved out to Phoenix, Arizona.
Wow.
There in Phoenix, Arizona, went to high school there, went to Arizona State.
Okay.
And I have my bachelor's degree.
Wow.
From there and so on, business management, and then from that I worked in for a bit.
Okay.
And after that became a youth pastor.
Oh, wow.
Went into ministry. After youth pastoring, traveled the world as a evangelist. And after that, became an agent and a church planter. And now I'm kind of everything, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
You are. Every time I talk to you, it's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. This is crazy. If you can take us back to where you started, you graduated, and you're involved in your ministry. In that moment, what did you originally thought that your path was going to take you?
For sure. I would say this. During college, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life, and I really never asked the Lord either, and so I was just kind of like making it through life at that moment. I never knew that I would actually be a youth pastor. What happened was this. So I'm working for a company doing mutual funds and stocks and so on, while serving at a church that I went to. And then I was one of the youth leaders, And so because I was young still, as a young adult, I was serving the youth ministry. And so what happened was this. The youth pastor, one weekend to the next, he quit.
My goodness.
And just left. And so my pastor was like, hey, you are very involved, kids love you. Can you step in while I find a youth pastor?
Okay.
So I said, sure. I had never really preached before. I would read my Bible, like, here and there and so on. But in me, I just had a heart for serving the Lord, whatever it was, And so sure enough, the pastor never found a youth pastor.
Wow.
And then a month later, asked me to stay on as the youth pastor. And so I ended up going back to work. I quit an awesome job I had, making okay money for a young person right out of college, to being a broke youth pastor, serving the Lord, loving on kids and so on. But what's awesome is this. Look at this. In that season, we took 40 kids to over 300 kids. The youth ministry exploded. I mean, we were seeing revival and healings and signs and wonders. And in many ways, that became a movement there in Phoenix, Arizona, where the news actually wrote about us, newspaper wrote about us, pastors everywhere, were asking, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. All I know is that Monday nights, that's when we had youth night, I said, all I know is that Monday nights we're here and kids are showing up.
That's crazy. So in that moment where you were doing all of this and you start seeing this movement, more than just a service, but a movement that was happening, did you feel at that moment within you, man, this is what I called to do? I mean, before you were in the business doing well, then you step into something and all of a sudden now you see the movement, you see the power just being released. At that point, do you feel like, man, this may be my calling?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, no, from the perspective of, I genuinely did not know what I wanted to do yet. All I knew was living life, being super faithful and going all in every season I'm in. And so in that season, I said, well, we'll see how long this is for, because being a youth pastor isn't necessarily forever.
Right.
I said, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to build leaders. I am going to grow spiritual kids here and so on. And so I don't think that I yet really knew what I wanted to do yet.
Interesting.
It was just this season where I wanted to be found faithful. What happened in that season, though, was that's when I met my best friend, Landon Schott.
Yeah.
And so I think that being faithful and being really good, like going all in that season, allowed me to meet the person that would unlock my next season.
Okay. That's awesome. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that next season? So you're right now, things are thriving. Pastor
Landon,
how did that begin to unleash another facet of your life?
Yes. And so we had become really good friends. And then it was a season where I felt that my time as a youth pastor was ending.
Okay.
I was probably like 20, 28 now, maybe
Okay.
a little younger, somewhere on that age and so on. So I went and I spoke with my pastor, and then I knew it was God when he told me this isn't God.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And so reason why is because I felt he was saying it from human's wisdom,
Yeah.
and he hadn't asked for heaven's wisdom yet,
Wow.
And so I thought I said, you know what? I've always lived life where you hold things lightly. And so many people would have been like, dude, why are you quitting? This is God. He's moving. Hundreds of kids are coming. You are being now invited to speak here and do this and do that, so on. But I've never been someone that ever worried about stuff and things, because things come and things go. But obedience
That's good.
is a one-time thing. Like, it either happens or it doesn't happen. Delayed obedience is disobedience.
Oh, that's
And so I felt that, you know what, look at this, all this stuff and like speaking and all this, you know what, look at this. If the Lord wants me to do it, the next season will have it, I said, you know what I'm saying? So I ended up quitting, and I go and I serve Pastor Landon for free.
wow.
For free. So I'm serving him, and then very quickly like that, they start inviting me to speak as well, And so for the next 8 years, we just traveled the world hosting crusades and camps and conferences. And it was a wild journey being able to do that, So, but even in that, I had no idea.
You still were.
Yeah. What I, really wanted to do. I've never been someone that has had their eye on something.
Right.
Like, hey, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's always been kind of a journey where like the Lord invites me into the next season, and then in that season, I find his favor, because when you operate from a place of obedience, you crash into his favor. So even in that season, there never was this, I am gonna, speak here and do this and do that. It was always kind of like, all right, Steve, keep on obeying, because your assignment will one day change.
Well, that takes a lot of humility. And when you were talking, one of the things that I was envisioning is kind of like going into this beautiful house and every door is closed, and having the humility to open the door and be ready to embrace whatever is in that room. And when you do it 100%. And I think that many of us in our journey, especially, beginning of the year, you like have these goals. You're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And nothing wrong with having goals. But at the end of the other day, it takes humility to recognize, you know what, I'm just going to be a humble servant in this moment, in this room. And I'm going to embrace everything that this room has to offer me. And I'm going to make sure that I leave it better than I found it. And that's what I found, that your journey, Stephen, that takes a lot of humility. But what you did tell us a little bit that moment that you felt, okay, this is great, but the new room opens, and that room is called real estate. And all of a sudden it's like, you just walk into this room and he's offering this new, completely drastically different than what you were doing for so many years.
Yeah. So in 2014, we're in Israel.
Okay.
And we're hosting a conference there. Pastor Landon and I are,
Okay.
and so we're in Israel there. And then on that trip, someone walks up and says, hey, Steve, I have a word for you. Your next season will involve business and media.
Wow.
I'm all like, that's it? Like, what kind of business? I don't know. I just heard business and media, they say. I'm all like, okay, well, if it's the Lord, let it be, So we're back in Phoenix, Arizona, and then that word never leaves me. It's just kind of like, man, business and media, like, what's it going to be? Lord, is this really you? Well, in that season, one of my friends sends me a message on Facebook. This guy was a very successful real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then randomly says, Steve, I'm telling you, you would be amazing as a real estate agent, he tells me, And I read that, and it was as if like something just hit me in my spirit, kind of like, man, maybe this is it. Maybe it's real estate. Maybe I have to become a real estate agent, I said, And so weeks later, it just wouldn't leave me. So I fast and I pray for a week and I ask the Lord, am I supposed to do real estate now, Long story short, I don't hear the Lord.
Okay.
But I have a peace about it. I said, you know what? I'm at peace about it. Like, I'm going to do this, So I go, I get licensed. And then, but while I am working on my licensing, I'm also listening to one of my favorite marketers on the internet. In that season, he kept on just hammering, if you are in any business in 2014, you have to go all in on Facebook video. So being in real estate school, in my head, I was thinking, okay, once I'm an agent, I'm going to do Facebook video. So sure enough, I get my license 6 weeks later. I am fully licensed and I start doing video on Facebook. And I start this show called the Steve Talks Real Estate Show.
Wow. And you're still in Arizona at this point, right?
Yes,
okay,
for sure.
Okay.
Phoenix, Arizona. And so, back then, no one was doing video in the industry in that way, So in essence, I made myself look like I was a big timer. You know what I'm saying? Here I am. Hey guys, welcome to the Steve Talks Real Estate Show. Today we're gonna talk about, and like,
wow,
and so as a new agent, I went all in on video. And so my first year in real estate, I ended up closing on over 40 transactions my first year. And so my life just changed, Roger. I mean, you can imagine, how much money 40 closings brings a person, you know what I'm saying? And so my life completely changed. And then it hit me. Wow, this is business and I'm using social media. And so the word was that my next season would involve business and media. And sure enough, after that, I got to the point where I was doing over 100 homes a year. My business exploded. My life was, completely different, so on. Within 3 years, I was now speaking at conferences and marketing conferences, business conferences, and like doing so much in that space. My life had completely changed. What's amazing is this, I always led with my faith, I was very open with my faith. And so the more influence I was able to have on social media, the more bolder I was getting with my faith, because I always wanted to be faithful. In whatever you do, you're serving the Lord.
That's true. That's true.
And so as an agent, I was able to host the city's largest real estate marketing conference each year. And so I would host a conference, fly in literally the best agents from all over America. It would be amazing. But it's wild just to see, looking back, thinking of like, again, I had no idea whether or not real estate was like forever and so on. I just knew that if I was going to do it, I am going to be faithful and go all in, become the best, knowing that doing that, whether it's for the long term, whatever it brought, I always knew that when you're faithful and you go all in the season you're in, God comes knocking for your next season.
That is really good. That's really good. And when you were talking, Steve, a lot of you that are listening, you may say, well, I didn't hear God's voice clearly or audibly. And what the most powerful thing that Steve you share with us is that he didn't hear him. There was something just peace that overtook him and stepped into that room that was unfamiliar, but he went all in. And many times, Steve, many of us are in a situation where we are holding back. We go 80%. We ask, why are my business not thriving, or why my marriage is not thriving, or why my family, or what this and the other. And the reality is that we're not giving 120%, and we're holding back. And what I'm hearing you, Steve, say, and many of you are listening, is whatever you're doing, if this is your moment, the way that you create a legacy or build your own legacy is by going all in wherever you are.
Yeah.
Whatever that area is, you go all in, and like Steve said, and God is gonna meet you in the destiny that He has you. So everything is going great, business is thriving. You started this real estate crazy speaking conference, and you're good now, right? No, you're Arizona is it, and you're forever.
Oh yeah,
you
forever.
built a legacy, right? That's how it happened.
Then God comes knocking.
Uh-oh.
Asher Landon, calls me. This is now 2017. Pastor Landon calls me and says, "Hey, man, I heard from the Lord, not our next assignment, but our life's assignment." And so when he says that, it kind of like shocks me because, I've always known Pastor Landon as a man of very few words. And so I know when he says, "I heard from the Lord," like I listen, I pay attention, like, okay, this is a man that doesn't use his words lightly. When he speaks, he uses them with so much intention, And so anyway, so he says that, and then he starts sharing with me this blueprint, literally step-by-step blueprint of a church he and I were supposed to plant in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
And the craziest part is this: no one had ever been to Fort Worth, Texas. And so here he is sharing with me all of these plans, these visions and so on, blueprints of a church we're supposed to plant in a city we have not yet visited. And I mean, he's excited about it. And in my head, I'm thinking, you're crazy. Like, I have a business here, I have a staff here, I have an office here. I mean, so much. And you're asking me to go and plant a church in a city we have never visited before. Ain't no way I'm going, So, I mean, he's excited. He says, "Hey, man, I know this is a lot." He says, "Speak with your wife about this, pray about it, ask the Lord." So I go back home and I am sharing this story with Esther, my wife. I'm like, "Esther, Landon calls me. He says this, he says that, so on, about planting a church, Fort Worth, Texas, just the whole story and so on." And then she says, "Wait here." And then she goes and she finds my old laptop. And then on there, I had prophetic words, the audios that had been spoken over the years in my life, And so one of those words was from 2007, which was 10 years prior. And then, so I'm in a service at a leadership conference. And then the speaker calls me out and says, "Young man, you're here in Phoenix, Arizona right now, but sometime soon you will be in Texas," he tells me.
No way.
This is 2007, before I had met Landon, before I had met my spouse and so on. He's telling me, one day soon you will be in Texas. Then he says, from Texas, you will reach more people than you would ever think or imagine. Influence will come in 3 areas: in church, in business, and politics.
What?
So we're hearing this word just in tears, kind of thinking like, man, this is God. We have to close shop.
Wow.
Sell everything and follow the Lord to Fort Worth, Texas. And so, sure enough, a couple years later in 2018, we started the whole journey of just moving to Fort Worth, Texas to become church planters.
That's crazy.
Yeah, wow. I know. It's just crazy to think, just like, how it's all worked out and so on. And so now we're in Texas. We launch Mercy Culture Church Easter Sunday, 2019. And now again, we had no idea who would come, if anybody would come. The end goal was that one day I would be on staff, to like usher the church there and so on. But in the meantime, I had to work, and the only thing I knew how to do was real estate and social media. So I started to do everything all over again here in Fort Worth, Texas. And guess what happens, Roger? The business begins to boom.
That is.
And so as the church grew, my business kept on exploding as well.
Wow.
So, fast forward, Mercy Culture is about to turn 6 years old, and so we have over 6,000 people that have gone through the membership, and so that'll probably make us a church around 8 to possibly 9 or 10,000 people, in just a little time. 6 campuses now, Dallas, Austin, Waco, East, Fort Worth. We have a Spanish campus now in Fort Worth and in Dallas, and just so much going on and so on, from just being obedient to the Lord. So in the midst of all that though, it was 2021 at the height of COVID and BLM and all that kind of stuff happening here in America and so on, I felt I had to run for mayor of Fort Worth.
Okay.
So the words I heard from the Lord was run. And so no one had ever been in politics. No one had ever thought about being in politics and so on. So Pastor Landon also felt it really strong. Hey, run for mayor. Like, this is God, run, And so I also felt it too and so on. And so personally, my wife and I, we invested thousands of dollars into it, Here I was raising money. I was able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars and so on. And so anyway, long story short, in that race that year, because it's a 4-month race, you just literally like campaign and run like crazy. In 4 months, I spoke well over 90 times, 90 events from meet and greets to massive events.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that held a outdoor rally, kind of like, hey guys, come and meet me and, hear my message and let's pray over forward and so on. At that outdoor rally, almost 4,000 people were there, middle of COVID. I mean, the media was going crazy on us, just saying, my gosh, you guys are super spreaders. You're going to kill people and so on. And then I just knew I was obeying the Lord, and so, here I was out of 12 people that ran. We end up in 3rd place.
Wow.
Super close to winning.
Crazy.
We beat current sitting council people, lifelong politicians and so on. The only reason I lost was money. They just outraised me and so on. At the same time, I had only been here, 1 year and a half.
Yeah.
And then here I was, running for mayor and so on. But it's crazy because, after that race, or when I started that race, okay, one of the first people I called was my mom. My mom, you are going to think I am insane. Estoy loco. She's like, what? I'm all like, I am going to run for mayor. She's like, what do you mean? I'm all like, yeah, for mayor. Alcalde? I'm like, yeah, alcalde de Fort Worth, I tell her. She's like, oh, hijo, no. Do not get involved in politics. It's dirty, it's corrupt, it's messy. Why are you going to ruin your life like that? People are going to talk about you and say, just literally, she did everything possible to discourage me to do it, So I called up other friends as well. I'm like, hey, guys, what do you think, man? They're like, dude, no, dude, you are going to destroy your business because running for politics, you immediately will cut off half of your audience off the bat. Don't do it. This is terrible, dude. You got kids and so on. And so, and so I had to wrestle, Roger, imagine this, with the opinions of man and my conviction that I had heard the Lord say run, And so my wife and I have always lived life that we always obey when it never makes sense. If you hear God and it doesn't make sense, it doesn't matter what you feel. It matters what he says, And so I said, all right, babe, we're going to lose a lot of money probably because I'm not going to win and we're going to invest a lot of money into this. I said, and I don't know, like right now, the culture is also like very sensitive. Everybody has high emotions, BLM's happening and COVID's happening. And just like, so much is going on, babe. And my message is going to be bold. I'm like, so people will come after us. Are you ready? She's all like, well, if the Lord say run,
That's crazy.
It doesn't matter to us. And so it was one of those moments where sometimes in life, Roger, you have the honor. Sometimes in life, you have the honor to truly have a Esther moment. Everybody loves to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? If I perish, I perish. You know what I'm saying? Lord, send me. Yeah, but it's very different when you're in a place where you truly have something that could really affect your life, like my livelihood, my business. Like so much was at stake here and so on. And so, in that season, Roger, it was a season where I truly learned one of the ways that the Lord operates in. It's a It says God has a blueprint of how he does things. And one of those blueprints is this: God always transforms or reforms from the inside out.
That's good.
Always. He never says, hey, person, I need you to change your jeans, shower up and look good, and then I'll save you.
Yeah.
No, he starts at the heart.
Yeah.
And then as he's working on the inside, transformation happens on the outside. And so in that season, the Lord began to teach me, hey, I need people on the inside of secular palaces and places, because unless I have you on the inside, I can't bring my kingdom to it. You see, it's one of my favorite reasons why I love business so much, because God needs people on the inside, because on the outside, you have no say. On the outside, you have no influence. On the outside, you have no way to change the systems that truly bring transformation, And so in that season, I said, Lord, put me inside of places. Put me inside of secular places. Put me inside of secular palaces, secular governments. And so the Lord began to show me this form of how he operates, where he's looking for people that are willing to risk it all to go on the inside. You see, a lot of people love to talk about Esther's fast that saved the nation of Israel, but a fast wouldn't have saved Israel if Esther didn't hold a position inside of a palace. She was on the inside. She had the king's ear. She had a position inside of a secular palace, a secular place. And from that position, she went to the church. Hey, help me pray and fast, please, because I need God to do something, because I'm going to go talk to the king, you see? And so in that season, the Lord put in me this boldness to run as hard as I can for this seat. I knew, Roger, I was going to lose, but I knew I was going to gain access inside of places that would allow us a voice of change, of influence, authority, dominion. In that season, God taught me that that his blueprint is always working from the inside out.
That's really good. That's really good. And I want to jump into one small...
Sorry about
No. I love it. And I just want to say one thing about
going long.
what you said. Many of you thinking, okay, you didn't win in third place. How did you influence? So just briefly...
I love that.
Because...
Question. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You need to know what happened after that, because even today, you are reaping, what you sow. People, we all are reaping what you sow. In fact, many of you may not know, but Steve just went to the inauguration of our 47th president of the United States of America. But it was because, so tell them a little bit how the seed.
Yeah. So once I lost, pastors were calling me, hey, Steve, I'm sorry about your loss. They were saying that to me, and then I always stopped them. I said, loss, you never lose obeying the Lord.
Come on. That's good.
You never lose. You will never lose if you're in obedience. And so what happened was this, because I never heard him say, you're going to win. I heard him say, run. And I ran with everything I had. My own money, my own time, blood, sweat, and tears. I was running, learning the game, because no one had ran for politics before, So after that race, Roger, our phones started to just ring and ring and ring and ring. And then, a lot of people wanted me running for other seats and so on, but one of the coolest things is this, is that one of the most influential seats, actually the most influential seat in our city, okay, there was a man running for that seat. It was a county-wide seat, okay, calls me, wouldn't stop hounding me, calls me, until finally I answered him, hey, what's going on? Hey, we need to meet. And I said, no, we don't. Like, why? No, we need to meet, So I meet with this person and so on, and says, hey, I can't win without your support, without your church, and without your spiritual covering. And then he starts sharing with me, this is at stake if I don't win, and to start saying this on, it was wild to see how now people running for seats of government were now coming to us, asking for spiritual covering, asking for prayer, for wisdom. Would we walk with them? And so this person ends up getting elected.
Wow.
Okay. And so now we've been able to speak into so much that happens here in the city because of that run for mayor. You know, one of the most incredible things is this, because now one of my best friends, Nate Schatzline, okay, Nate is probably one of our strongest, boldest, most courageous leaders in the Texas House.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's a state rep, and so when right before he ran for that seat, they called me, "Hey Steve, we want you to run for the seat. We have the money, we have the support, this and that, so on." And then again, anybody would be all like, "Awesome,
Right.
I'm up for it." But my whole life has always been, "Lord, what do you want? What are you saying?" Like, I don't want to do anything outside of obedience to what you are calling me to do, you know? So I prayed about it, and I instantly knew that seat wasn't for me. But as I prayed, you know, whose name just kept on like blaring? Nate. So I call Nate. I'm on, "Nate, hey, this is going on. They're asking me to run. I don't feel it's for me, man." And then Nate is in tears, Roger.
Oh my.
He's all, "Steve, I had a dream. I was running for this seat." I'm like, "Nate, this is God, man. This is your seat. Let's do it together." And then everybody got behind Nate, and then he wins. And now Nate has been responsible for writing some of the most amazing pro-Christian legislation in our state in Austin. And now his influence is reaching Washington, D.C., to our Congress people, senators, you know, here locally. Okay, now, because now we started this non-profits that is affecting the whole realm of government and so on, you know? And so through that nonprofit, we've been able to get over 90 people elected, from school boards to city councils to, I mean, so many all over the region here, all because one guy that had no idea what to do.
That's awesome.
Really heard from the Lord, run for mayor. And so, you know, it's wild to like think back that like this word of like influence will come in church, in business, and politics. It's like, you know, I'll be honest with you, I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just literally following the Lord in seasons. You know, that was a season that just birthed this crazy movement. And so now we have this amazing church that has truly been able to impact thousands of people all over the world.
Yeah.
Through its worship, through its ministry, and so on. You know, our government realm has been able to influence countless seats, countless bills, legislation. I mean, stuff that like truly affects us. You know, and in business, and just being able to just thrive in that space. So that one of the things about business is this, you know, because that's another subject for another podcast, because we can talk about business, I mean, for a long time, you know, but business is one of those, it's a mechanism that makes the world go round. Everything in life revolves around money, around income, and so on, you know? And so why I have such a heart for people in business is because business people function like fathers and mothers in a city. Whenever schools need money and they're raising money, they go to the businesses. When politicians come into town, they look for the most successful business people. Why? Because they have the thing that makes everything go around.
Yeah.
Okay? Business is very near and dear to God's heart. One of the subjects that Jesus talked most about was money. You know, money exposes people's hearts, exposes people's motives, exposes who people really are. It's a magnifier of things. And so as business people, you know, you have an obligation, like everyone in business, okay? If you are listening to this podcast and you are in business, you have this obligation. Number one, you have to be the best, because the best creates the wealth. You have to be good, keep learning, keep growing, keep networking, get around people that help you get to the levels that God has for you. Is everybody going to be ultra wealthy? No, but everybody is going to be faithful, or is supposed to be faithful. Okay? Yeah. Wherever it takes you, you have to be the best. You can't be a bum agent. You can't be a bum lender. You can't be a lazy business owner. You have to be the best. Why? Because the best creates the wealth. At the same time, the best are the ones that get the influence. So on one hand, you have influence, and influence gets you inside of places. And on the other hand, you have wealth, and wealth you can give into things that make things run.
Whoever is listening, and I hope you really grasp this. Sometimes where you are right now may not seem like this is all that. And you're like, who am I? What am I influencing? And what I want you to grasp is what Steve is saying. Whatever you are doing right this moment, this is your field where you plant. This is the field that you go all out and make sure that you do your part, because somebody else may have to come and continue to develop that which you planted. Maybe somebody's going to come and collect the seed. Somebody may have to take the seed to the market. Whatever you're doing, you have to realize this. Your legacy that you're building today may not look the way that you think it should look, but as you step into that room, that whatever God's prepared for you, you do it with all your might, with all your strength, with all your power, and God is going to anoint whatever you're doing. So to finish up, Steve, for any person that is listening, and I know you mentioned it, but to encapsulate everything that you said, people that are looking to build their legacy, and they may seem like it doesn't look the way that they thought or the way that they anticipated. But how will you tell them this is your legacy right now? Even though it may not look the way you think it should look, this is the legacy that you're building right now for the generations to come that are going to follow you. What will you tell the audience that are listening to you? How my legacy doesn't look anything like I thought, Steve. What do I do in this arena?
For sure. One of my favorite proverbs says, a wise person understands the season they're in. And so we have to understand that life is in seasons. It's in seasons. And so you have to understand what season you're in, whether it's in your business, whether it's in life, and then seasons repeat itself. So I start with that thought because we have to view life as being a farmer.
Yeah.
That a farmer never plants seed right now and expects a harvest next week. Never, And so some seasons you're sowing seed, and other seasons you're nurturing the seed and you're watering the seed and moving dirt around, putting some vitamins in it, and you're seeing it. And then other seasons, maybe like, the first leaf pops up, and then you're like, oh my gosh, there's a leaf on there, and you're watering so and so on. What happens is this, Roger, people quit too soon because people don't understand the seasons they're in. And so that proverb says, a wise person understands the seasons they're in. It says, but a incompetent person wastes it away. And so every season will have its purpose. And so the hardest seasons are when you've been nurturing for months and you see nothing coming out of the ground. Most people in business fail because they never go all in long enough. Okay. When a realtor comes to me and says, hey, I'm quitting, almost always I tell them, you actually never started. They say, what? What do you mean? Well, yeah, you were always 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I'm like, there hasn't been a season long enough where I saw you go all in for you to see a harvest. You should quit. I tell them, you should quit. Look at this. Every season has its purpose. Your job is to stay faithful as hard as it could be. I'll end with this. James 1, verse 2 says, count it all joy when you go through trials and tribulations. Trials and tribulations could feel like, Steve, I've been sowing seed, I've been nurturing, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Cool. Count it all joy. You know that how hard it is to have a perspective that's elevated, where like you still have joy when you're 8 months in and nothing's hitting, but you're faithful and you're working at it and you're staying it. That's legacy right there. When you stay the course and I'm in this. Now, it's different if you suck and like you're like, dude, everyone around you is all like, bro, it's not for you. Like, leave better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's different if there's a conviction in you. I know the Lord has me here. Well, then stay there and be faithful and keep going all in. It says, count it all joy. What happens is this, that verse, go read it. 1 James chapter 1, I think it's verse 2 through like verse 8, some of the most powerful leadership life lessons in life and so on. But it ends by saying a double-minded man is unstable in all their ways, okay? And so what that means is double-minded isn't a person that says, should I not? Should I not? No, that's an annoying person, okay? That word right there, double-minded, is in the Jewish context. And so what it means is this, it's when you think one way with your mind, but you believe something different with your heart. So let me break it down to you, because if you're able to master this, okay, you'll be able to get to the place of going and lasting through the seasons so that your legacy could be stamped. Because, for example, you could be in a service at church and you're hearing his word and then you're excited about it. In your mind, you're like, yes, the word says it. Yes, yes, yes. But you walk out, but your heart has doubt. It reminds me, like, for example, on a super practical level, okay? We tell real estate agents, hey guys, do stories every single day. Hit the stories, get better, bust your phone out, do stories. And so everyone leaves a training excited.
Yeah.
They're thinking, I'm going to do it this time. But in their hearts, they don't believe it works. Oh my gosh, social media again. This guy's talking about video. And so they think one way, but they believe another way. And humans operate from a place of belief, not from a place of think. And so until you're able to align your thoughts with your belief system, with your heart, then you'll be able to get to a place of maturity where you understand the seasons, and you know this hard season's here, and you're like, I'm thinking all these, but it's okay though, because I know. And thoughts, stop there, because this thought isn't from the Lord. I'm going to align my thoughts with what I know the Lord has told me to. And you can stay the course, and little by little, you begin to look back and see, well, I'm actually building something for the first time. Most people never stay long enough, Roger, to build anything. You know, that there's this wishy-washy. Why? Because they're unstable in all their ways. So I want to encourage every listener here. This is how you build a legacy. Stay the course. Stay the course. Fight double-mindedness. Align your beliefs with what God believes for you. And I'm telling you, you are going to start seeing your natural meet his super, and supernatural things will begin to happen.
That's so good. That's so good. Great job, Ed. Thank you so much. Guys, I'm pretty sure that you are filled, empowered, and ready to take on the world. And what I want to tell you is what Steve is saying is actually something that he's lived through. You heard part of his story. Didn't make sense at times. It didn't seem like that was the right thing to do through the naked eye. But he believed that he heard and executed. And he continued to do so. Today, he is assistant pastor of one of the most thriving churches in the area, one of the most anointed places I've been in. And he has a thriving business today. He has an incredible story, and I hope one day you hear, because not everything has been bed and roses in his life. But one thing I know for certain is that what he's telling you right now, there is a conviction in his heart. So I'm going to encourage you, whatever you're doing, ask the Lord to give you the conviction. Not just to do the things that you do because that's what you do, but be what God is calling you to be as you're doing the thing that he's calling you to do. Let God continue to work in your heart. And as always, thank you so much for being with us. I will invite you to subscribe, share with somebody. I know that it's going to help somebody as they continue to build their legacy. God bless you, and I'll talk to you next time.